Today we're going to be reacting to What If Sonic Characters Could Fuse by Beware Again, so let's get into it. Now y'all know how much I want fusion in the Sonic franchise, so you know we have to watch this video, so let's get into it.
What if Sonic and Silver fused together into a single character? What about Sonic and Knuckles, or Silver and Blaze? How would fusion work?
Silver and Blaze, their abilities would have to be a combination of psychokinesis and pyrokinesis.
Within the lore of the Sonic world, what would these fusions look like, and how powerful would they be? Today I'm going to be exploring the untapped potential of fusion within the Sonic franchise, including combinations for Sonic, Tails, Blaze, and more. I've stumbled onto
Let's be honest, if there was fusions in the Sonic franchise, there would be a lot more busted characters in the Sonic franchise, especially if you have two fusions of characters that have a super form. Like, yeah, be a lot of busted ones.
Really awesome pairings. I think you're really gonna like my idea for Silver and Shadow. And if you have any ideas for fusions I don't mention here, be sure to tell me down below. Some of these concepts today were inspired by your comments. Okay, first up, Sonic and Knuckles. Well, wait a minute. Before I get into that, I should probably make some things clear. How would fusion actually work in the Sonic world? We don't exactly have
I just assume it would be chaos control. Like, you would use a chaos emerald. Like, two people would... I don't know. I think it would have something to do with chaos control.
Lots to pull from. Metal Sonic copied the data of various light forms to transform into Neo Metal and later Metal Madness, but this is not a combination of characters into a new being that shares one mind and one will. The closest we got to good old-fashioned fusion is the Bio-Lizard at the end of Sonic Adventure 2. It used chaos control to teleport into the space colony Ark, fusing with the space station to become the final hazard. Obviously, this is only one character fusing with an inanimate object, but it does give us our answer: chaos control.
Exactly.
By using a Chaos Emerald to teleport into a location already occupied by another character, the two could reasonably be merged together into a new being. This is actually a concept that's existed in the fandom for a while, called chaos unification. It was popularized by animator Chaos X in his animation
Chaos X? Isn't it the same dude that made Sonic Project 06?
So Unleashed, where Sonic and Shadow fused together into the new and incredibly powerful Shattuck. Many artists have done their own spin on the Shattuck design, including CAD and Terminal Repo. The latter also created an alternate fusion of Sonic and Shadow.
And also, yeah, there's some good art, and there's actually a post I made about one of the... Actually, no, that's Sano. Yeah, that's Sano, but it still looked like a good fusion. Like, go check out the post if you guys want to see how it looked like.
Instead of merging through chaos unification, they fused through the use of special inhibitor rings that bind their energies together to create Sano. I love both of these guys and their ideas. And I even got Terminal Repo to design one of my fusions later in the video, so definitely stick around for that. But anyway,
the inhibitor rings do need more shine, because, like, having the inhibitor rings being used for fusion would make the inhibitor rings more popular and more needed.
Main stipulation will be combining these characters through chaos unification, meaning at least one of them has to be able to use chaos control. I did add one other rule. The characters have to have at least a little bit of a bond. They don't need to be best friends, but for this to work in my head, they can't be complete strangers. As much as I'd want to see Infinite fuse with Shadow, those guys hate each other way too much. Also, I have a personal pet peeve with fusion names just smushing together the names of the two fusees. I know that's how they do it in Dragon Ball. Goku and Vegeta become Gogeta, but in Sonic, the characters are named after an attribute of theirs. Shadow is dark and brooding. Knuckles has big-ass pointy knuckles. Tails has...
two tails.
Tails. So for these fused characters, I'll be creating a new name that captures their new traits as an original character. So, Sonic and Knuckles. When crafting this new fused character, I wanted to make sure I got both of their personalities and abilities straight, so that I can find a fair balance between the two. Starting off, Sonic is obviously all about speed, freedom, and energy. He's super kinetic and it's obviously all about speed, freedom, and energy. He's super kinetic and very braggadocious. He loves to show off and make fun of his enemies, but he's not hyperactive. He's basically as chill as a person can reasonably be without being lethargic, because like the wind, he moves effortlessly from moment to moment with nothing holding him back. All this is accentuated by his impossible speed and acrobatic skill. You literally can't hold him down. Knuckles, on the other hand, is a lot more rigid. He's got a strict echidna code that he adheres to as part of his clan's responsibility to protect Angel Island and the Master Emerald. He's got a big ego, too, but he's not a goofball like Sonic. He only brags as a matter of fact. Plus, he's got a much hotter temper. Set him off and he'll punch your lights out.
Yep.
If Sonic can breeze through life's difficulties, Knuckles knocks them down. He's incredibly stubborn, often to his own detriment, but he can back that up with his ridiculous strength, plus his specialized abilities.
So you would have to find like a combination in between those two personalities. Like Sonic, he's cocky and everything, while Knuckles is more brutish and strict. So like you would have to find like a personality to mix those two personalities, so that way the entity seems like not too cocky but not too like brutish. So it has to be like a mix between the two.
Red-like quills allow him to glide through the air, and he can use the spikes on his gloves to climb up walls or tunnel through the earth. So, if these two were pushed to the brink by an enemy, and they only have a single Chaos Emerald on hand, Sonic could use it to warp into Knuckles, transforming them into Striker the Tenric. With all of
Striker the Tenric, okay, we calling this form a Tenric now? Oh yeah. Yeah, you would have to like give it a new animal too, like yeah. Not only the name, you have to give like this new fusion an animal name as well, so yeah. But Tenric, okay. Surge the Tenric.
Sonic's speed
Striker
and
the
Knuckles'
Tenric.
strength, Striker hits harder than any other non-super character in the series. While he maintains Sonic's ludicrous running speed, he doesn't use his more acrobatic abilities, and only fights using punches, no kicks. That said, those punches are faster than lightning and hit harder than a freight train.
Dang.
Now, you may have noticed that I said Striker is a Tenric. Because these characters are all animals, when the two fusing are of a different species, I did my best to pick an animal that's a little bit like both of them. So, with a hedgehog and an echidna, I call the fusion a Tenric, which is the animal I think shares the most overlapping traits between the two. A Tenric is a marsupial, meaning it carries its young in a pouch after birth, the halfway point between the mammalian hedgehog and the egg-laying echidna. They also have spines, eat mostly insects, and have a medium-length snout. I think it's a pretty great fit. But I know this isn't how animal species actually work. They don't actually have a perfect genetic halfway point. So if you just want to call these fusions the hybrid, I think that also works pretty well. Anyway, speaking of hedgehogs and echidnas, Striker is stupid.
So Striker the hybrid, if you couldn't find it. Okay, yeah.
He's extremely confident in his strength and his speed, although he'll mostly keep quiet about it unless you get on his nerves. Tick him off and he will blow a gasket, running circles around you while he blasts you with insults and beats the brakes off of you. You'll notice I gave him a third spike on his gloves, and they're longer and more curved, sort of like Sonic's quills. He'll often lodge his spiked knuckles into a boulder or chunk of machinery, then swing it around, one on each hand like giant boxing gloves.
So you could just imagine him spinning that around. Like I feel like Knuckles already could do that, but just seeing it and just imagining it. This form is cool.
Striker is basically unstoppable, especially if you set him off, which is why my next fusion is much more chill.
And also the design is like they keep like Knuckles' shoe designs while like changing the color palette to match both Knuckles and Sonic. So and they keep the crescent thing too. So
giant boxing gloves. Fusion is much more chill. That would be Sonic and Blaze.
I'm excited for this one. Let's see.
Blaze the cat was actually created to be a foil to Sonic in the most literal sense. She's a version.
Because it's like I can't wait to see this fusion because like a mix of Sonic's speed and Blaze's fire. Like I just want to see this fusion. And it's like the Soul Emeralds and the Chaos Emeralds. So it's like how would this?
Him from an alternate universe. He's the wind. She's burning flames. He's free-spirited and a drifter, while Blaze is the embodiment of restraint, a calm, disciplined, and introverted hero who hides deep emotion beneath formality and focus. Blaze mainly believes that she must maintain control at all times of her powers, her emotions, and her duties as Princess of the Soul Kingdom. She has to learn to open up over time, but once you understand her powers, you totally get her obsession with restraint. Her pyrokinesis is incredibly powerful, capable of creating, manipulating, and launching flames, including using them as propulsion to reach speeds on par with Sonic. Blaze is a powerhouse in every sense of the word, although she's not quick to act. She starts with diplomacy whenever possible. Honestly, when figuring out
she's more of a calm, while Sonic would rush into action, like when it comes to Eggman, like when Sonic, he'll rush into action, like beating up bandits. Blaze is like more calmer, more like, I don't want to say more civilized. We'll try to find a peaceful way to do things before fighting. Not saying Sonic wouldn't do that, it's just that Blaze is more like that.
How these two would meld into a single character was kind of tough, but I think I cracked it. This is Comet the Civet. Named Comet because...
Comet the Civic? Civet, okay. What is a civet? Actually, I don't even think it has to be an animal. Comet. Yeah, a comet is fast and is hot, so.
As fast as a flaming meteor streaking through the night sky, he is ludicrously fast. Sonic's base running speed is boosted by Blaze's fire propulsion, visually depicted by the fact that the soles of his feet are perpetually burning up. And you'll notice his flames are blue, the color of Sonic, but also much hotter than Blaze's
blue flames are hotter than red flames, so.
Base fire. Like Sonic,
I feel like they should have made Blaze's super form like have blue flames, but hey, the pink like flames are still cool. Maybe if Blaze had a hyper form, her hyper form would be blue flames, but this ain't about super form. It's about
Comet fights a lot with his feet, using large swinging kicks to launch waves of fire at enemies in a maelstrom of breakdance.
So kickboxer.
Also influenced by Sonic's cockiness, he's inclined to draw things on the ground with the trails of fire he leaves in his wake, sort of like you could do with the Psyloop in Sonic Frontiers. Now, to address two details of this fusion. First, a civet is basically the halfway point between a hedgehog and a cat.
That's an actual animal? A civet is an actual animal. Okay.
Short, bristly fur that's a little bit like quills and a little bit like a cat's hair. It eats both insects and small animals, and it's also a nocturnal, solitary creature. Certain species of civet can actually get pretty big, but most are about 4 to 10 pounds, like a house cat. Also, Comet is male. I think when fusing two characters of opposite genders, you could make the fusion androgynous, but I think it makes more sense that they take the form of the more dominant of the personalities, which in this case is definitely Sonic. That said, Comet is still influenced quite a bit by Blaze. He's a very traditional type of hero.
Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, okay, yeah, I understand the form is supposed to take the more dominant. And like Sonic and Shadow, both of them are pretty much like two dominant beings. So like the fusion like looks like both of them. But in this case, this fusion looks more of like Sonic than Blaze. Like I see a little bit of purple at the end of the quills. Like I guess the shoes do look a little bit like Blaze's, but this fusion, like the flames are cool, but it looks more of like Sonic now I'm thinking about it. And this fusion looks a lot more like Sonic. I can't really see too much of Blaze, I just see more of Sonic.
But focused.
Like with a fusion, you're supposed to see the mixture of like both. I just can't see that with this one.
He's not really a trickster and doesn't quip too much. He yearns for adventure, but he's not a drifter. In a situation where things are low stakes, he might goof off a little, but when facing danger, that all goes out the window. He is no nonsense and very focused on making sure his flames don't go out of control. And if you like that sort of influence from Blaze's character, you'll really like the next fusion. But first, this isn't my only video on the world of Sonic hypotheticals. Ever wonder what form Sonic would get if he absorbed all the wisps? Or if Shadow was overcome with Doom powers? You can see both of those ideas and a bunch more in these videos here, also linked in the description. And while you're down there,
which we reacted to both of them, by the way.
Tickle that subscribe button. Maybe poke like or tap up a little comment to keep the algorithm happy. Or not. Whatever. I'm totally not desperate or anything.
Wow.
Anyway, Blaze and Silver. These two had a great
this is perfect. Like those two, like they have like a good relationship with each other, so it's obvious that those two would get a fusion. But like they would have to, this fusion has to combine like both of their kinesis abilities, so I like to see how he does it.
In Sonic 06, Blaze's calm rationality always pulling against Silver's overzealous ambition. While Blaze suppresses her emotions, Silver is practically bursting at the seams with them. His rage against Iblis, his sorrow for the destroyed world, and his misplaced righteousness as he butts head with Sonic and Shadow in the past. All of this is what made him naive enough.
No, none of them remember this, by the way. Sonic 06, you gotta remember. It was erased. Well, it's canon, but not canon. Like, it happened, but it didn't happen, so.
To believe Mephiles when he offered him a way to save the future, and Blaze even says as much. Silver is an idealist, while Blaze is much more of a realist, but the two of them do share similarities. They were both burdened by isolation and a sense of duty, and bonded over it. Beyond that, Silver is also psychokinetic.
Yep.
He can use his mind to manipulate matter, to float and fly through the air, pick up and toss around anything he can see like a weapon, or even snatch his enemies right up off the ground and send them flying.
This is probably needs, like, I need more Silver gameplay. I hope this next game really does have Shadow and Silver, because I would like to see more Silver gameplay, even if it's just a little bit.
Silver is a lot like a blunt object. Well-intentioned, but often misguided and too motivated to listen to reason. He will bowl you over with the power to smash apart buildings in a wave of psychic force. But he's not all angst and destruction. His emotionality also makes him very joyful and particularly appreciative of the beauties of the past that he never got to experience in his destroyed future. So what does it look like when he fuses with Blaze, who often willingly limits how much of the world she can see in order to maintain control? We get Aurora the Civic. Aurora has all of...
Oh, finally a female fusion. Okay, a female fusion. I like this. Okay, now with this one, I can see more of Silver and Blaze. I can see more of Silver and Blaze. Because, like, one, changing the gender, because, like, there's not a lot of female fusions in the Sonic series, so it's like, yeah, cool. Like, the quills and, like, the purple, like, this one feels like you can see, like, both Silver and Blaze. While the last one, it didn't feel like that.
Blaze's refinement along with Silver's energy. A lot like Comet, she's basically a balance between their two personalities.
Aurora, let's say Comet or Covet, Civet, the same one?
Aurora the Civet, and decisive like Silver, but you know, she doesn't run around screaming about Iblis triggers and telling everybody she's from the future. Her powers are the source of her name. An aurora is when charged particles from the sun light up in blue-green energy that dances across the sky.
Nice.
Like Silver's psychic energy powered up by Blaze's flames.
Okay, that's a good way to combine the two.
Exactly how they work. She can manipulate matter and throw it around just like Silver, but anything her mind is touching, she can choose to instantly superheat, catching an enemy robot out of the air and melting it into molten metal in a snap. Or carving.
It's like if these fusions were real, Eggman, I don't know how he would handle them. How would Eggman handle these fusions? I feel like with all these fusions, you would have to like make it super draining after you use it. Because that's the only way you could keep Sonic characters from like using fusions, because if Eggman had to fight a fusion every single time, like I feel like you would have to make the fusion like a little bit draining to use. Like you get tapped out after you use it, so that way it's like a final resort if a Sonic character wants to use it or fuse.
Huge swaths of Earth out of the way by effortlessly boiling it into magma. It's a terrifying and potentially unwieldy power, one wielded by someone who knows what it means to have a dimension to protect and a future to save. So, we've seen Sonic and Blaze and Silver. Next up, how about Sonic and Silver?
A lot of Sonic fusions. Like a lot of Sonic fusions.
Not like Sonic has with Shadow, but
What'd he say?
Silver. These two haven't gotten much time as a duo, not like Sonic has with Shadow.
They have a good relationship.
The IDW comics do.
Yeah, they have a good relationship with each other, so they could still fuse.
Arc to shine together as dual protagonists, and I think that was dope because these two have a lot of untapped potential.
When you've got a classic ride, you need tools.
Sonic is.
I should probably get YouTube Premium or something.
Extremely chill, while Silver is usually either freaking out about an apocalypse or elated that he gets to eat real vegetables here in the past. But they're both very prideful, so when they get into a confrontation, they play off each other really well. It's a constant back and forth of, oh yeah? Well, check this shit out. And obviously their powers are both busted, but counter each other well. Silver can basically make you do whatever he wants if he catches you, but he has to catch you. So, when I considered making a fusion of these two, I realized that the result would not only be practically unstoppable, but also a nightmare to go up against purely because of how cocky and egotistical he would be. This is Photon the Hedgehog.
The quills is insane. The quills is insane. Photon the Hedgehog, the quills are insane.
Photon, named after the fastest thing in the universe, a particle of light, acts just like one. He's got Sonic's free spirit and Silver's awakened mind, so his psychokinesis is always on. He floats above the ground completely weightless at all times. He never walks. Instead of an ability that has to be activated, Photon mostly interacts with the world using his mind powers, nonchalantly lifting and carrying things all around him while his hands are left idle, casually floating sideways or upside down at any point in the day just because he can. But when things get serious and it's time to fight, he unleashes the impossible speed buzzing just beneath the surface. He launches from point to point like a ray of light. Instead of colliding with enemies in a ball like Sonic might, he just gets really close, really fast. The psychic field around him tearing them apart long before they could ever touch. You ever see that clip from Jujutsu Kaisen where Gojo destroys the nature curse Hanami just by walking closer to it?
That's how it works?
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
And when he's forced to go all out, he'll drag the world around him at speeds approaching his, meaning a handful of rocks in the hands of Silver could be launched pretty hard, but they become an invisible field of instant death when held by Photon, who rips the objects back and forth through the air so fast you can't even see them, and they shred through Eggman robots like a hot knife through butter. Photon is probably my second favorite fusion in the video. My favorite goes to another Silver fusion a little later. Before we get to that, I said up top that fusions should be limited to characters who have an existing dynamic. They don't need to be best friends, but they do need to have worked together and would hypothetically be willing to do so in order to fuse. But what if they were best friends? What if Sonic fused with his best bud and little brother, Tails? Tails is a much calmer, more reserved personality compared to those on this list. He's analytical and methodical by nature. He's great with technology because he's curious and he loves to tinker, which makes him a very different person than Sonic, who never gets caught up in details. Tails started out very self-conscious and shy, but once he developed and gained some confidence, he became less of a kid sidekick and more of a partner to Sonic. He specializes in planning, strategy, and of course, engineering all sorts of tools and vehicles. But he's also very physically capable. He can spin his twin tails like a turbine to propel himself almost as fast as Sonic, and when he points them vertically, he can lift off the ground like a helicopter. While Sonic is about as specialized as you can get, he has one stat that's very broken, Tails has a much more varied skill set. So when the two merge, you get a new character that brings together all of Sonic's physicality and Tails' ingenuity. This is Gyro the Mongoose, with Sonic's speed adapted into a body that has...
Gyro. I feel like I've heard that before. Okay. The longer tails. Okay, the orange and blue ends. Okay.
Two spinning tails and a genius-level creative intellect, Gyro is a powerhouse. He can use his longer, thinner tails to fly, of course, but like Sonic's quills, the ends are hard and sharp, so his helicopter blades can instantly double as a circular saw, slicing everything in sight right down the middle. While Sonic has always been quick on his feet, Gyro is much more crafty in a fight. On a dime, he'll turn his tails into a giant fan, blasting a tunnel of wind at an enemy to send them flying with an unavoidable invisible gale force. He'll use his tails like a slingshot, revving up a spin dash while they build up tension to launch him dozens of times faster than he would be without them. The main thing is, Gyro is kind of a trickster. Sonic is a cocky smartmouth, but when you combine that with Tails' genius, you get a goofball who loves to pull tricks on his friends and play with his enemies like toys. He's not cruel. Tails' gentle nature actually makes him less confrontational than Sonic, but he is always up to some harmless mischief. Now, when I conceived this fusion, I had a really hard time pinning down a few details. First, the name. I briefly considered aero, as in aerodynamic, pertaining to speed and flight, or whirl, a rapid spinning that generates an air current. But I went with gyro because I think it has the most connections. A gyroscope is a circular machine that can rotate in any direction, which not only makes me think of Sonic's Spin Dash, but also Tails spinning helicopter tails. I think it's also a name that Tails himself would really like, his appreciation for technology and his admiration for Sonic. Also, the halfway point between a hedgehog and a fox is frankly a lot harder to pin down than the other animal fusions. I could totally see like a fennec fox, a Corsic fox, even a tanuki would kind of make sense. I went with a mongoose because they seem to be right in the middle of the two animals size-wise, and their tails are pretty normal, longer than a tiny hedgehog tail, but not as big and fluffy as a fox. But I'm still not sure if this is the best fit for a fusion between these two. If you have a better idea for Gyro's name or species, definitely let me know down in the comments. And since I'm not so confident about this one, I should move on to the fusion I am most sure about.
Let's see.
Shadow and Silver.
Okay, let's see.
These two are the most man-on-a-mission characters in the series.
Yeah.
Shadow is a calm, stoic,
I feel like they're kind of opposite though.
Focused guy. He was born in a tragic situation that only became significantly more tragic as time passed. His first and closest friend Maria, who he was created to save from her illness, was ruthlessly killed because of the danger he posed to the Earth. Shadow is an artificial being. He's forged from the DNA of an ancient race of evil aliens by a scientist who went mad and tried to wipe out all of humanity. By all accounts, he has every right to be a straight-up villain, but he grapples with his desire for vengeance against the anger boiling up inside, which clashes with the promise he made to Maria to protect the world. So we're left with a cold and mostly detached bioweapon of a character who chooses to act in a way that lets him remember and appreciate his past without being shackled to it. Shadow is fairly complex and layered, while Silver is much more simple. His future was ruined, and he will stop at nothing to fix it. So, when the two meet in 06, they do not waste any time talking. They get right to throwing hands. And Shadow wins pretty handily at first. Created with innate chaos energy, he's a master at the teleportation and time-stop powers of chaos control, along with a handful of energy-based attacks and maneuvers. He fights like a soldier, calculated and precise, with a mastery of hand-to-hand combat, as well as a use of vehicles and various different types of weaponry. But Silver doesn't just get washed after fighting Shadow.
Yeah, you would have to, like, with this fusion, you would have to mix, like, both the, like, Silver's psychokinesis with Shadow's mastery of chaos control. Like, you would have to mix those two.
During their first encounter, he immediately recovers by learning chaos control on the fly. Proof that the two have a comparable level of combat skill and attunement to chaos energy. So when you put them together, that tremendous skill gets amped way higher. They become Spectre the Hedgehog. Spectre is, as the name implies, like a ghost made of shadows. Between Shadow's speed and frequent teleportation with chaos control, and Silver's flight and telekinetic influence on the world around him, Spectre is practically impossible to pin down or keep track of. He also basically never speaks. Shadow is already the quiet type, but when you consider that these two would only ever fuse if things are absolutely dire, Spectre gets all of Silver's determination and Shadow's ruthlessness. He just blinks in and out of existence, sending you flying with a wave of psychic energy, or to your grave with a chaos spear, and is silently gone before your body can even hit the ground. In a rare instance, he might utter a single word under his breath, but if you ever hear his voice, it likely means you are not long for this world anymore. Sonic fused with Silver as Photon showed us more of Silver's good side, but Spectre is all of the angst and trauma of Shadow mixed with the absolute resolute grit of Silver, who is willing to kill Sonic to save the world. And it's all backed up by his psycho chaos power. He'll stop time and then manipulate matter before starting time up again. You could be in a room full of machines, and in a blink, they've all been torn to shreds and bent into hundreds of blades floating inches from your throat in shreds.
I know this is not about the video, but like...
You could be in a room full of machines, and in a blink, they've all been torn to shreds.
So wait, Sonic punches the enemies in this animation?
In a room full of machines, and in a blink, they've all been torn to shreds.
Look. he punches. I honestly, I always thought he just boosted past these enemies. He actually, you know, punches them. I never noticed that.
Heads and bent into hundreds of blades floating inches from your throat in all directions.
God.
His precision is so great that he can use telekinesis to dislocate your shoulder or snap your leg, instantly handicapping anyone not worthy of his wrath that might stand in his way. But those who do deserve his wrath, those who committed evils in the past or threaten the future, will all meet the same fate at the hands of a merciless spectral ghost. Stay frosty.
Okay, them fusions were cool. I like the fact that they added a female fusion, because most of these fusions were male. I like that they added the female fusion. I like the design of Aurora. I like that one. Like, these fusions were cool. Like, I like them. Well, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys have fusions you like too, have some fusions yourself, put them in the comments. And with that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And with that, I'll see you next time. Woo.
You know we dancing for the win cause it's landed. Who can stand against you over me, see my banner. Watch it do the city, shake the ground.